Thomas, good to see you. Today we're talking about 3 RMD changes for 2023. We are breaking down key changes to required minimum distribution rules that
Mhm.
went into effect on January 1st. And the first one that we wanted to touch on, the starting age has increased again.
Right, right. I know a lot of people are saying, okay, I thought I was going to have to take my RMDs this year. I'm 72. No, guess what? They increased it to 73 this year. So you can allow that money to sit for an extra year or until you turn 73 to pull that money out by December 31st of that year you turn 73. So if you're born between the years of 1951 to 1959, 73 is the date that you have to start taking out those RMDs. They also increased it later in the decade. If you were born between 1960, then 75 is when you can take out your RMDs.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, Thomas, change number 2 here. If you miss taking your RMD, the penalty is lower. This is pretty good news because that was a really stiff penalty.
It was 50%. So
Ouch.
if you were 72 years of age and you didn't take your RMDs, you made a mistake and didn't do it, or it completely went over your head. If you had, let's say, for instance, $40,000 that you needed to take out, you were going to get penalized 20,000 in regards to a tax penalty.
10,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So it was 50%. Now it's
Yeah.
25%. Okay, that is the new rule, and you can still get it corrected. If you do get it corrected, then it's going to be 10% within that year. So
Thank goodness. Okay, now this one is really complicated. Some significant changes to inherited accounts.
Mhm.
Basically, there are separate rules for IRAs inherited before 2020 and those inherited after 2020.
For sure, if you inherited an IRA before 2020, then you could still utilize something called the stretch IRA, and that's basically stretching out the distributions over your life expectancy, which would result in a lower tax obligation. After 2020, then the Secure Act passed. Then you had to basically spend that money within 10 years. Okay, so whatever the distribution was, you have to spend that. You can divide it over that 10-year period. It could potentially result in a higher tax implication over your overall finances. So that's the difference now. But there are some ways that you can still get around that and leverage the stretch IRA. And I would love to have a conversation with you about it if you have some questions about
Yeah,
it.
so that brings up my last question though. If somebody is nearing RMD age, is there anything that they should be considering now or any steps they should be taking?
Absolutely. One of the steps, one of the things that I tell a lot of my clients is if you could do a conversion, to a Roth option, if you
Hmm.
will, that might be a good strategy for you. However, there are tax implications on that. You'd have to pay taxes on the actual rollover, or excuse me, the conversion. You can obviously move some of those RMDs if you know you're going to have to start taking those RMDs. You can move those potentially into a life insurance strategy to have tax-free income later in life. Then we've done a video before where we talked about QCDs, where you can actually reduce your taxable income up to $100,000 and move that money into an actual a charity. So that's another way you can get around that. So it would be worthwhile having a conversation about your RMD strategy beforehand, if you can, for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I like the QCD. It's such a win-win for everybody. So,
Mhm.
Thomas, if somebody would like to talk more about those strategies with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, they can go to my website at martinheritagegroupllc.com. They can shoot me an email, info@martinheritagegroupllc.com. They can also give me a call at 651-503-6064. And then they can reach me on all social media platforms at Martin Heritage Group.
All right, Thomas, thank you.
Thank you.